Welcome to Stock Therapy with Penny Queen. Today I have CISO Global CEO Dave Jemmett with me, and we're going to talk about their most recent news and some of the volatile trading. So, Dave, before we get started, today was a historic trading day for CISO. The stock hit $1.42. It collapsed to 66 cents. Intraday, a circuit breaker was triggered. Right now, you're on the NASDAQ Reg Show threshold list, and yet we have no public confirmation of compliance. Do you believe you're NASDAQ compliant?
I do believe we've taken all the steps and submitted the NASDAQ that we are compliant at this time, but we were waiting for NASDAQ confirmation.
Okay, so once you have the letter in hand, we will get a news release on it?
You'll be the first to know the next morning after release in an 8K, yes.
Perfect. We are all very excited we're all very excited to hear that. Before we get started, I want to give you the list of shareholder demands that I keep getting in my emails and DMs. So first off is confirmation of NASDAQ compliance. We just talked about that. But the other thing that I keep hearing is people are wanting you to work on non-dilutive financing to grow those sales.
So we can't talk about specifics, but I can tell you in my experience with public companies, we're always looking for capital non-dilutive to shareholders, because I'm a shareholder myself and a lot of the people in the execs here, as well as the board members. So the non-dilutive piece is the most important to us. And that's to, why do we need more capital? Yes, we're break even, we're going forward, but to actually extend our growth and enhance our revenue, we have to go out and get non-dilutive financing. So every public company is out there looking for that or looking for a raise. But most importantly, it can't be a convertible note. It can't be something's dilutive to the company. We're looking specifically for a financial partner to support us going forward that understands our business and unlock the value of CISO Global.
That is exactly what I wanted to hear, and I'm sure a lot of other shareholders will be thrilled to hear it too. And you've gone from being a company that really only had access to pretty toxic lending to being a company, you're EBITDA positive, you're growing, it's very clear, and your share price has moved in the right direction. So you're now in the position that you can actually get that traditional financing that is so good for growing sales channels. So I'm thrilled. Before we go on, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the trading that happened today. I know I got a lot of questions from other retail investors, and I want to give my best shot at explaining what happened. You let me know if you think I'm getting anything wrong here, but NASDAQ keeps a list of companies that people are shorting and they're failing to deliver the short. So that's basically, you borrow shares so you can sell, which brings the price down, but you eventually have to buy those shares back. Now, shorts get stuck when they sell a bunch of shares and then the stock moves. And as we all know, we've had a really impressive run from the 30s. We even tagged that magical 170 number, and we've been hovering 126 going up to 140. So I'm sure everybody who was short on CISO was absolutely terrified. But being on the Reg Show threshold list, and I'll pop it up so everybody can see it, like it just goes to tell us there were barely any shares left to short. And I think it was like maybe 79% fee to short. So what it looks like happened to me is they doubled down, shorted very hard, probably naked shorts, but shorted very hard, freaked some people out, caused panic. We dropped really swiftly. And then it kicked that 15-minute circuit breaker in right around 66 cents. When we opened up, I think we're either 76 or 80 cents. So it shows that people really want the shares. Looks to me like we're probably going to close around 85 cents today. So a lot of volatility, a lot of, it's rough being a shareholder when that happens, like bottom line. Oh. So
I think you got it right. It was very disturbing to wake up this morning and see the volatility in the stock. Especially, I want to thank those who watch your show and have become shareholders that are going to become filers. So I know that the shares are being bought up by the right type of people, right? The people who believe in the company. So no one believes more in the company than myself, but having a conversation with one of the retail shareholders yesterday, he got it. He was passionate about it. And now he's got to file a 13G. So for all those who don't know, he's over the 4.9 threshold. But those are the kind of folks that we appreciate and will keep help driving this stock. You did mention short selling. We have mentioned in a press release that is happening. And I wish I had an ego that says, hey, we're fighting the bad guys and they're trying to get back at us. But it's happening across the market space. So what can we do about it? Well, we're alerting NASDAQ and the SEC formally again, and then essentially it's up to them, and it's incumbent upon them to protect us and our shareholders.
All right. So, we've talked about corporate actions before to cause a CUSIP change, share structure adjustments, dividends to force the delivery of fails, things like that. It really looks like it is time to pull the trigger.
I agree. We are actually moving forward with corporate governance act because obviously it's obvious to you and the rest of the world. We need to make that aware and re-emphasize that back to the regulators. So yes, we are and will be taking action.
All right. So I know the answer to this, but I need to ask every time we have a crazy day like this. So we had the wild price swings today. Is there any dilution happening right now? ATM use, warrants, anything the market should know about?
Absolutely not.
Perfect. All right. So there's been mention of buybacks and reducing the float. Is that realistic in the near term?
Yes, we're looking at several different scenarios for that.
I like that. All right. Now I would like to talk about the news that I actually set this interview up to talk about. Okay, let's let's talk about Checklight. Yesterday, you dropped a glorious news release. And before we start talking about the warranty expansion, I want to know, has Checklight ever had a failure?
No.
Perfect. I was talking to some people about it, saying that, one of the reasons I think the warranty was able to be increased is because it's such a clean product. So, for anybody who didn't see the news, the warranty had been $250,000 per incident. It's moved up to $1 million per incident, and I believe with a cap of $1.5 million per year. Okay. And that is at no extra cost to clients. Right? All right. So then tell me, why now? Was this a client request, a strategic advantage, or just a way to scale enterprise contracts?
Some of the carriers in insurance we've been working with them for 6 years now. And over the last 3 years, they've started taking data points of our product, and we've been submitting what's taken place, especially because we already had the $250,000 warranty in. And if you look at our competitors, because you actually mentioned it, there are 5 other customers that have $1 million warranty. But most people don't know, if you read the small print, they have to spend $1 million to get that product. That's not our case. Because the data points we submitted to the carriers, this is the start of one of many that will get on board. And they saw the data points and said, yes, this is worth insuring.
Well, let me cover that really quickly for people who might not have read my commentary, but CrowdStrike offers coverage up to $1 million per breach. They trade at, I believe, $9 billion. We've got SentinelOne that also offers coverage up to $1 million per company, and that is up to $1,000 per endpoint. And an endpoint, if you don't know, is a computer, it's a server, it's a firewall, it's the components itself. So their coverage is up to $1,000 per endpoint with a max of $1 million per company. So Sentinel, they trade at, I think, 6.5 billion. Another one I was able to find, I know there's a total of 5 out there, but I think it's Sophos.
Sophos.
right? They are not publicly traded because they were bought out for $3.9 billion. So I like the company that you're keeping, but I also like the ease of use and that you can get this. This is suitable for a small business. So that being said, the news release says that the total addressable market is now $11 billion. What kind of clients are you targeting with this stronger financial backing?
Actually, it's really good for the SMB market, the small business. It's easy to roll out and install, which we monitor. Mid-sized companies also are open to us, but what's really good about it is the carriers are actually selling their insurance and having this go along with it. So their customers become now our customers. And so it's one to many, and that's a great way to market. But the addressable market, again, as you said, is $11 billion. And most people are probably unaware that insurance companies were insuring like crazy over the last 4 or 5 years. Last year, for every dollar spent, they lost $1,600. So most of the insurance brokers and carriers stopped selling cyber insurance. So you really have to have a track record, and you have to have a reliable product to actually protect it. But they're also looking at the companies to have cybersecurity posture hygiene, that they're ongoing looking to make sure they're secure and have something in place that stops those or remediate it pretty quickly. So we're very fortunate that the one to many, I mean, it said yesterday, Bechtel made the quote that it's going to enhance cybersecurity and make them more secure.
All right. So, I just know that a lot of companies think they're insured and then they have a breach and then they look at it and go, oh, well, you didn't do this, 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 and this. But with Checklight, you know whether you're, in compliance. You know whether or not you're protected. And if you do something or if something is not compliant, you guys are able to see that and help them fix it or tell them what to do, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so much more simple. Can you give me a sense of how fast Cyber Simple and the Insurance Partner Network are rolling this out?
They're actually starting the beginning of next week.
Very, very exciting. All right. So, and there was another little bit of news that was snuck into the news release where it said 17 partner agencies, right? That's not a small number. I think in my head I was assuming that there were like 3 or 4 that were already on board. So that's more is better.
But
All right.
there's, yeah.
All right. So we know that you have more than 600 clients. Do you know how many endpoints that is?
That's thousands of endpoints. Out of those 600 customers, I'll give you one because we don't talk about our clients or their names unless they give us express permission. So Henley Beverage, he's a board member, great supporter, has one of our convertible notes. You know, one of the best supporters of the company. He has over 600 endpoints. And that's just one organization, from servers to laptops to desktops, routers. And so we cover all of those for him.
So an endpoint is $25 a month?
Yes.
Okay, so it's really easy to see how quickly this could ramp. I'll just let other people get out their calculators and start working it out themselves. But okay, so with over 600 clients, 34 million in revenue, a 93% client retention rate, EBITDA profitability, why do you think the market still doesn't yet believe in CISO?
That is a great question. This is my 7th company, and I have relationships in Wall Street. UBS, Morgan Stanley, Stifel, B. Riley, KeyBank, all of them have not only helped me through my other companies, but have been friends. But their charters say they can't touch us or help us until we get to $5. So really, we rely on the retail market space that has really helped us get through these bumpy spots. For example, I had one that has watched your program that's going to be a filer and told us. We were
Nice.
pretty shocked. So he's bought
Nice.
over 4.9% of the float, and is very supportive of the company. And those are the folks that are going to help us through the long term, is the long-term believers in the shareholders. So he was emphatic on the company, wants to sign an NDA, come into the company. He's going to stop buying stock. He even asked if he could sell through some of his network. So we haven't heard somebody, except for you, people enthusiastic. I mean, long-term shareholders that we have are friends that have been here since the beginning, are still emphatic. But it's really great to hear the new folks who believe in the company and the strategy.
Dave, I talk to people all day long about a lot of stocks, but I talk about CISO with tons of people. And for some reason, people think I want to see the screenshot of what they hold. I don't. If you're watching right now, I don't need to see it. I don't need to know. But I have a really good idea of how much of this stock is tied up. We look at what the insider holdings are. And if we look at just who I know in retail and what they're holding, and then there's people with, 20,000, 50,000 shares here and there. When I see trading like what happened today, I know that somebody shook the tree and they definitely scared a lot of retail out of their shares. But I still believe that the majority of that was not real. That was naked shorts to push it down, because I'm like, we know where the shares are. And they're like, I know where mine are. They're not, I'm not letting them go. So it's frustrating, but at the same time, I'm actually a little excited about what happened today, for the reason that those shorts were trapped, and they see the writing on the wall. They understand where this company is going, and they see how quickly it can move. So they wanted out. They freaked out. I think they got a lot of their shares out, and we'll know next time we get a short report. If we see that they've closed, we'll have a really good view of what actually happened. But for me, looking forward, knowing that there's institutions that can start buying it too, and there's a lot more institutions that can start buying at 5. And this is a big boy story. We're lucky to be retail with access to this, especially at the price points that we have. So I am thoroughly thrilled. And while I don't like to have to clinch like I did this morning, just watching it go, I'm thinking our next circuit breaker is going to be the other direction. So that's my goal, and I'll leave it there. Never financial advice, but that's how I see it. We are grabbing up this float, and there's just not going to be anything left for anybody to manipulate us with, especially if there's a corporate governance change. So there's all my opinions that nobody asked for. So.
Well, I thank you, Penny, and I thank your audience. It's been a surprise with the support we've received. It was a shocker for me this morning. Obviously, people are asking when what took place. I'm not a New York guru with all the charts, and all we can do is run the company and keep expanding, our client base, which is one to many, like I just said, and create more revenue and make this company a success. It's unbelievable where we're at today, and it's exciting for me. But unfortunately, if we were private, it would be a different matter. Now we're tied to the stock, which really is frustrating. So with the people who buy the stock, hopefully we can see them unlock the value of the true value of what this company should be.
That's our reward for taking the risk on the company. And it may frustrate you having all this happen as a public company, but I can tell you that all of us in retail wouldn't have access to the story otherwise. So quite simply, it sucks what's happened to the company and how disconnected it is from the value. But the people that are listening now, doing the math and critically thinking about it, are going to be the ones that reap the reward as you attain appropriate valuation. So I'm happy to be on this side of it.
Well, thank you so much, Penny, for having me,
Thank you for
explaining.
your time.